everyone, welcome back. Today is December 16th and today I'll be taking you on our 4th garden tour of our 2019 fall garden, and we've got all kinds of stuff happening. We have sunflowers that are opening up that are taller than me. We have different varieties of sunflowers all through the garden, along with some different flowers that I can't wait to show you. We've been harvesting a lot of food and we've been eating really good this fall, and I'm going to share with you some tips and some new plants that we've recently put in, and some of our I've actually taken a video of our children harvesting some food. I usually try to do these videos when the kids are at school, but thought I would kind of share with you how much fun and joy it brings our family. So stay tuned. So I'm going to start with our smaller garden over here. Here are our snow peas that we kind of planted as a afterthought after we put this garden in. My husband brought home this awesome rusty wheelbarrow that he pulled out of a job that someone just left there. And of course we brought it home and then we're enjoying it. Put some soil in it. I put some marigolds and snow peas. And the reason I do not have automatic water on these is because I used a moisture control soil. Now I did drill some holes in the bottom to allow the water to flow out, but I water it as needed. And I've always struggled with snow peas, keeping them healthy. They usually start dying from the bottom, and then I start losing leaves. And then by the time we're really getting into the production of the snow peas, my plants are dying off. And so far, these are doing beautifully, not being on automatic water. I've learned, thankfully, to some of my YouTube followers that y'all told me, why don't you back off the watering? So I put my snow peas in a completely different area than the rest of the garden, and thank you, they are doing amazing. Over here we have our collard greens, and we had a couple mystery collard greens over here when I bought this the cell packs already established plants. These were in the cell packs and they looked just like our collard greens, but lo and behold, they were broccoli. And it's really fun to you know, show the kids that stuff like this happens and kind of make it a surprise for them to come out and see. The other day I was like, guys, you'll never believe what our collard greens turned into. And I'm like, go look at the collard greens. And they ran out here and they're like, what? That's awesome. And it was a learning experience for them, and they had a lot of fun. It brought a lot of joy to me seeing them get so excited. And it's almost like Christmas morning. I swear, every time I bring the girls out to the garden and show them a surprise, it is literally like the joy of Christmas morning. And that right there is what keeps me gardening, and wants me to learn new things and grow new things to just share it with my children, and hopefully along the way that they'll grasp onto it and want to take it along and share it with their kids and family. Over here we've got different autumn mix. It's called autumn sunflower mix. Look at how pretty those are. And one's falling down over here. There's my herb tower there. I've got some basil, different types of basil and mint. This tower garden here has done really well for me. I've harvested a lot of lettuce off of it, and I'm not having to bend over and get in the dirt like I would on a typical salad bed. I haven't harvested a ton of lettuce from this one just because it's so easy to harvest it off my tower. Now I will start harvesting a lot from here because mine are starting to go to seed on this tower. Now I do have some beautiful rainbow kale. Look at how, I'm sorry, rainbow chard. Look at how pretty those are. And I have my strawberries up here, and I also planted some snow peas as an afterthought here to kind of hang down. I usually will plant my snow peas and trellis them, but this year I kind of did it a little differently. I do have some that are trellis, but I also I always like trying new techniques and seeing if it's better or not better. I have some snow peas over here. Again, I placed them behind where I'm watering, so as needed. I have different potted plants that need some watering right now, but to just see if they do better in certain areas of the garden, and they're doing okay here. Here was just a little experiment that I did recently. I did a garden sale, which was a success. I can share that information with you guys on a different video, but I actually sold plants that I had extra from starting them in my own garden. I took my children with me. I made loofah soap from our loofahs that we grow in our front yard and sold them, and actually made a very nice profit. And it was just so exciting to share that with my kids and be able to join our community and offer some of my own homegrown handmade items. Don't plan on doing that all the time. Hey, sweetie. She just woke up from her nap and she's going to join us. But it was certainly fun. I learned a lot from other gardeners that were there. Anyways, here's our little plant sand area. I have some mini bell tomatoes that are coming in really great. These were Baker Creek seeds. They're supposed to be a container variety, so I thought if anything, if we get a bad freeze, I wanted to have some tomatoes in pots that I could bring inside. Look at that. I mean, look at how pretty these are. I mean, they've just been doing really well. I have yet to harvest any, but at least I have them ready to go. Oh, our kohlrabi. If you've never grown kohlrabi, this is a very interesting plant, a vegetable. Look at that. How neat is that? It's just kind of a gnarly looking plant, but it's beautiful. I think they come in different color varieties. But my husband and I really enjoyed growing them and harvesting them. The girls kind of, they think it's like an alien plant. But it's neat how when we have friends and guests come over, showing them different varieties of vegetables that they've never even seen or may not be available in the grocery store. So it's fun to show and share and teach our friends and family and even the neighborhood kids kind of how vegetables grow. Our purple cabbage, and they're probably the prettiest thing in the garden right now to me. I'm not a purple cabbage fan, but they certainly are beautiful. They just look like flowers in the garden. So even if you're not a purple cabbage fan, grow a few just because look at them. Look at how beautiful they are. This garden just looks like a ornamental garden, but it's an edible garden, something that we can feed our family with. And we also enjoy it. We have our dining area out here, and any of our friends that come over just really enjoy it as well. So it's always nice to have a splash of color, and I try to incorporate that into the design of my garden beds. Over here we did have some radishes, and we recently harvested them, and I wanted to replace it with something that would be a quick grow. I originally thought, oh, I'll put beets in here, but my beets were taking forever to come up, and I do have some beets over here, and we decided, you know, we're going to grow some small carrots. They're almost like a baby carrot, where they grow like a radish. So even though it was past our planting time, I figured we would try it out. We're already getting sprouts. If they are super small, who cares? The kids are going to have fun harvesting them, and I'm not going to have an empty space in the garden. So if you ever have a short day vegetable that you have in your garden, you want to replace it, either have extra plants in pots, or, you know, just experiment. Use that spot, even though it may say on your seed packet you're way past that month. Try it out. When I started, I had no clue, and I never even looked at the back of the packets, and I started growing carrots in the summer and they didn't grow very big. So there's so much to learn, and you can even learn from your mistakes, and you may find out that, hey, some of those mistakes, you could eat those mistakes. They may have not grown very big, but you still had fun growing them. So, but it is important to look at those. I think I kind of covered everything. Our celery is doing really well over here. I'm going to go over to our garden that used to be all flowers that just started getting overgrown, and my husband and I just decided we're going to pull them out. We put them in pots and figured we'd put them somewhere else around the yard, and this has turned out so good. All of our plants are doing really well. I've got to plant I have some 1,000 head kale that I started a lot of that I didn't sell completely out of at our garden sale, so I figured I'd just throw them into our garden. So that's something else too. If you start extra seeds and you want to go to market to make some extra money to pay for your garden, you can certainly do that. And whatever you don't sell, you can bring home and feed the family with. So it's not like you're wasting space or time. At least that was my thought. If I didn't sell out, who cares? If I didn't make a bunch of money, who cares? It's the experience and meeting people. And when I made my first $5 off of a couple plants that I sold, it was so cool that somebody actually wanted to buy my plants that I put my time into and love into, and they took it home, and I hope it's doing really well for them and bringing them joy. But through here, I just kind of wanted to plant some more food instead of replacing the plants that we pulled out with more flowers. I have some kale, and I tried to pop some color and try to make it like a garden bed. Added some cabbage. Now these cabbages were bought way after those purple cabbages, so at least when I'm harvesting those, I'll have some pop of color over here. I do have some cauliflower, and then I popped in kohlrabi, another cauliflower, kohlrabi here, kale there, and this is my rusty bed rail here that I have snow peas growing on, and they are doing really well. I'm going to pop over here and show you how well they're doing. So here's another way to reclaim something and use it as a trellis. Look at how pretty these are. Aren't those just beautiful? Now, what I like to do, I literally eat these off the plants, and so do my kids. They don't ever make it into my kitchen. We as a family will come out and take a stroll and just pick them and eat them. Do you want one? Okay. Here. Eat it up. Yeah. So here are some zinnias. Is it good? You like it? Yeah. Here are some zinnias that I bought from Baker Creek Seeds. I'm not super excited about the color in them, but they also have some rust dots, or I'm not really sure what that is, but I have some spots on them that are coming through. I would have probably picked a different color. I did some lime and some lime red mix. I have done different colors in the past that just bring a whole lot of color to the garden. And I really thought these would be a little bit more yellower, but again, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm not fertilizing them good enough. But look at those peas. There's a couple rose bushes. Here are our carrots. And what I've done, I've planted some regular carrots and then cosmic carrots. Let's see if I can pull one up for you guys. They're certainly not ready, but I'm going to show you the color of them. Ooh, look at that. So maybe these were rainbow carrots. But, you know, sometimes our kids just like to peek because it's like a surprise underground. So every so often I'll let them pick one just to see the color and see how much longer we're going to let them grow. But you can certainly eat them when they're small, or if you're going to get a frost and you don't have a way to protect your fruits or vegetables, you can always harvest them early, and there's always a way you can prepare them. So here are my grape cherry tomatoes, and as you can see, they just produce so many tomatoes. And what's nice about cherry tomatoes, if you're a first-time gardener, I would stick with growing smaller variety tomatoes, because that way you're not tending to them that long and trying to keep bugs off of them, animals off of them, and they're turning red quicker so you can eat them quicker. It's just a win-win for everyone, especially in the summer. We're in the zone we're in, we're zone 9B. We get a lot of rain, so anytime we get a tremendous amount of rain, my tomatoes bust, and I wait so long and get so excited about my tomatoes, and then they're all starting to bust on me. So cherry tomatoes, yes, they can still bust on you, but you can certainly harvest them and take them inside, and they will eventually turn red. You can always eat them as a fried green tomato. Either way, these cherry tomatoes are super fun to grow. They do get quite big, so you want to make sure you trellis them. They're literally taller than me, and I'm gonna have cherries just towering over. I recently discovered garden tape, and I'm so very disappointed that nobody's ever told me about garden tape, because it has been a lifesaver for me tying up all of my plants. It's made it so much easier. So if somebody knows a good garden tape brand that I should be using, let me know. And if there's any special techniques that I can probably wrap my plants up better, let me know. I've been doing a lot of the traditional ties. These just wire ties, and they're just a pain in the butt to take off when it's time to pull up your plants. And I want to say these are just going to be so much easier to take off. They're not like suffocating my plants. They're just doing really well. Over here are my Brandywine tomatoes. And this is a Baker Creek seed tomato. I'll show you this one here. So far, these have been really nice. They're not flowering and growing as well as my beefsteaks are, but maybe that's just a variety, and it's possible my soil over here is not as rich as over in my other area that I have them growing. This area too gets more shade than my full sun garden over there, and I kind of wanted to mix it up and kind of see if my tomatoes did better in this shadier part versus full. This still gets about 6 hours sun, sometimes 5, but kind of just wanted to test out that. Here are our row of Mongolian sunflowers. Now, I've always grown mammoth sunflowers, which are over here, and I've always enjoyed growing mammoth sunflowers, so I wanted to try a different variety just to kind of see what they would do and what they would look like. And apparently these are the largest sunflower, as far as I know, that you can grow. And so far I have one that's really wants to get up there. And the other ones are kind of growing like my mammoth sunflowers do, depending on the soil. You may get a short one, you may get a tall one. I always get a really tall one at the corner of my garden. Maybe it's because it gets more sun. I don't have a ton of sun here, but here's one of our Mongolians that's recently opened up. They're supposed to have bigger heads than normal. Here's one right here. They're certainly pretty to look at, and great pollinators. Now here's my okra plants that half of them are doing good, and then the other half have lost their leaves. Not sure why. I had this happen the last time I planted them. A few of you have told me that I'm watering them too much, and I think what I'm going to just do is start growing my plants that don't need a whole lot of water back behind our barn, so when I go to feed the animals, they're going to be back there. I can harvest them, bring them in after I feed the animals, and I'm not running irrigation. I'm just watering them as needed. We have a hose back there. I'm cleaning out pens anyways. It'll be quick to just, water those plants. I do love how beautiful the okra look in the garden, but I think it's time to just take them out of the automatic watering because they just don't need as much water. But we have been harvesting a good amount of okra. Our family loves fried okra, and it certainly tastes completely different than your typical okra that you can get fried okra at the grocery store or at a restaurant. It just does not compare. So here are some pole beans. That was an afterthought after I put in the garden. I wanted a short time of a vegetable to grow, like beans and squash and radishes, or something you can, after you've already designed your garden and put it all down, if you have some space left over, you can always pop in those because they do produce really quick. And we have already picked so many of these. The kids will eat them raw right off the plant. They love actually making bean stew. They get out their little plates and chop them up and eat them right out here, and it's a lot of fun. But these have done really well for us. I wish I knew the variety and the brand, but I don't. They do shoot a purple. Look at that. Look at how pretty that is. And this was actually an additional fence that we put up for our rabbits. We built a rabbit fence of our own this year, and that has been working really wonderful. I've not lost any plants to rabbits this season. And I really need to get out here and harvest some green beans. So when the kids get home from school, that will be our fun task. We'll run to the garden, we'll pick them, and it'll be a lot of fun for them and myself. So over here, these are actually some zinnias that self-seeded themselves, and look at how wonderful they're doing. So last season I had zinnias all along here, and I actually planted snow peas that just did not germinate well over here, and a lot of them died because, again, they're on my drip system here. I have some alive down there, and I should have never done that. Now I know better to not do that next time. But these literally just came up. I did not plant these. These were seeds that were in the ground. When I pulled out my plants, they stayed and they germinated. And that is actually the best way to put flowers in your garden. Throw a flower head, leave a flower head in the garden, and eventually break it up and it will have seeds. But look at how pretty that is. So here are my mammoth sunflowers, and I have a lot that are about to open up. I had some that opened over here, and I had a squirrel come over my fence, bite the top off, and I'm not sure what's happening here on why. But I had a squirrel come over here and gnaw the top off, and I watched them run out of the garden. And since then, I've got my son that is on squirrel watch over in this area to take them out and make squirrel soup out of them, because they have been fed really well with our sunflowers this season. We had our other sunflower here that the squirrels did the same thing to. And I think they're just used to us growing sunflowers in this corner, because I've always grown just a couple sunflowers here. And now, knowing how much joy they bring to our family, I try to keep a couple rows. This is the most sunflowers I've ever done. The plan was to kind of plant them and then take a family photo with them. Let the other kids come over and, you know, enjoy them as well. So far sunflowers have been doing really good. I pulled up some of the sunflowers that were funky that already opened, that kind of maybe cross-pollinated. Not really sure what happened to them, but you can look at my previous video. I had something funky happen in my sunflowers. I used the same seeds that I always do from my sunflower heads, and I started getting side shoots, shorter flowers. It was just very odd, but they're the same seeds as these, so I don't know what happened. Either way, I'm always learning, trying to figure out what's going on. These are called 1,000 head kale, and these are Baker Creek seeds. We've already harvested quite a bit of these. They kind of taste like collard greens, and they're supposed to get huge leaves on them. We've yet to get really super big leaves, but again, we're not fertilizing like we would like to. Since our last video, I had squash over here. The squash wasn't doing really good. It was just time. We had just a few really cold days where we kind of got like a little bit of frost on our plants, and since we had that happen, they just didn't do very well. So what I did, I had extra 1,000 head kale plants that I took to our garden festival that did not sell, and I didn't let them go to waste. So here they are in our garden. So I got this whole plot here of 1,000 head kale. We do have some of our spaghetti squash and buttercup squash. I'll show you over here in a minute. Our peppers are doing really well. I've got all kinds of peppers on our plants here. As you can see, I got all kinds of different varieties on our plants. Here are beefsteak tomatoes that are doing really well. I have so many. Like, look at this one right here. Oh, I have heard from other garden friends that as soon as you start to get a tinge of red on them, you can go ahead and pick them and put them in a windowsill, and they will eventually turn red. So if you are getting close to a frost or anything, you can certainly do that. Or if you're worried about bugs, I've been very lucky this season. I think with putting a ton of onions in our garden, and flowers that repel the pests, I haven't had many issues with worms on our tomatoes. So I think I covered everything over here. I'm gonna go quickly show you our buttercup squash. I've never seen these in the store, but they were available at one of our, I think like a Lowe's or something, and thought I would try them out. I got something funky growing on them. I don't really know when it's time to harvest these, so does this look ready to harvest? Again, our plants are kind of, any type of squash like plants are struggling right now because we did have a little frost. But look at how pretty those are. I'm getting a little one there. Some more down there. Now I do have some spaghetti squash over here. I wanted to show you. Got one there. And this is my favorite one because when we were on vacation, it just popped up next to baby Jesus. And conveniently on that little garden step. So that's been really nice. And that's actually the one that's doing the best. And I know I have some hidden back in here. We do have some more autumn mix here. The kids have really enjoyed that. I just kind of popped in different spots. And
radishes?
Yeah?
I found the fattest one. Oh, what about this one? Skinny one.
That's
look
nice.
At look at this one.
Hello! That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're harvesting all of our radishes. And then we're plugging in our beets.
Wow, look at that one!
Yahoo!
Wow, look at that one too!
Oh my goodness! What do you think we should do with all these radishes?
Tally!
Yeah. Mommy's gonna make a big salad.
A little one, but it's mushy.
That's fine. And you know what? We can feed the tops to our chickens.
I want to do that right now.
Yeah? They will love it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, or share this video. Don't forget, if you have questions concerning my garden, if there's something that could be doing better, or there's a new technique that you've recently learned and you want to share with me, please do. I'm certainly no expert and I do not know it all. So please comment below. I love reading your comments and replying. I do reply to my comments within a week or two. So don't be discouraged. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the new followers. I recently gained a lot of followers in the past couple of months, so not sure where this will take me, but I certainly love sharing the beauty of my garden and maybe teaching you a couple things along the way. So I wanted to say thank you for everything you guys do and continue to watch.